Heyo, and welcome back to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. We have a special episode today. Maybe you have noticed, Timmy KGB has not been on the mic making hot bets left and right, but he's back today. He is back today from a couple-week hiatus, so we got Timmy KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak Extra Rare, and one drip of hollandaise that mistakenly made it on the plate, and then the chef kind of wiped up that little drip with like they do with a little towel. I don't know if you've ever worked in a kitchen, but that's what they do. If there's any mess, schmutz on the edge of the plate, they wipe it up. So he had a little hollandaise on the side of the plate, but then the chef went ahead and the expediter went ahead and just got that off of the edge of the plate. We are going to talk about it all. We're going to check in with our future bets that we made the last time we did Major Wager. We're going to play a little buy or sell, and we're going to place new bets for the NBA Cup qualifying round that ends tonight. Tuesday night is the last night for the qualifying round games. So yeah, so much to get into. And personally, I suggest we do. Because this is Major Wager. Timmy KGB, what is up? It has been a while, buddy. How you doing?
Too long, man. Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good start to the season for the Celtics. But the dribble has not been the same without you. You know that.
Appreciate that. It's major wager, man. We've been on a major hiatus, but I'm back. Don't worry about it.
A major wager on a major hiatus. Indeed. But we got to check in because the last time you were here, the only bet that we've made so far, I think you're running scared because last year I kind of walloped you in Major Wager. So I think you've just been avoiding me, even though you've been having the craziest weeks of your life, so to speak. But the only bets that we've made so far are future bets. So I figured before we get anything else going, we should check in on those, right? See where they're at, because we are 20 games into the NBA season, just about. Some teams a little bit more, some teams a little bit less. The Celtics have played exactly 20, and that's a good time to check in. So we'll do a bunch of check-ins in this episode, and let's start by checking in on our futures. I figured the best way to do this was we could just take a look at them because we did a lot. I think we did MVP, we did MVP, and then we did one of our own picking, kind of wild card, and then we did 5 total win totals over and under, and we picked the champion. So I think we both had the Celtics as the champion, but I figured what we could do is...
We didn't actually. I had the Timberwolves. Because which was insane at 10-1. Now it's way worse than that.
Yeah, now it's way worse.
You picked the Celtics. You happened to go first on that rotation, and I decided to take a long shot.
Yeah.
And I was just re-listening to the episode, trying to remember what I had picked, and just giving my horrible take on why the Timberwolves had a decent shot to win the title.
No, they're not there
from that pod. I got a lot of regrets. So let's go through them.
Yeah, so I figured the best way, instead of going through all 7 of them or 8 of them or whatever each, we'll just pick one that we're really high on, that we're liking that we picked. And I think it might be a good idea to double down on that one, maybe throw more money at it if you want, and then take one that we're feeling real bad about. That might be your Timberwolves pick, but figured we could do that. One we're really high on, one we're really low on. I'm going to put it to you. Which one? Do you want to go with the high one or a low one for you?
I'll do both because I do know what they are. And believe it or not, I have a pick that is worse than my Timberwolves will win the NBA championship pick that I want to get rid of. And that pick is a pick that we had both praised at the time. This was the prohibitive favorite in this category, but Victor Wembanyama for most improved player of the year, which I bet. And it's just he's out of the running. Yeah. Right. I mean, not to say that he's had a horrible season. There just hasn't been the sort of improvement that we predicted with that, that I predicted, and that you sort of agreed with in that conversation. But no, it's going to be maybe Franz for this award, but certainly not Wemby. I mean, he went from, again, the odds-on favorite to being like 10th or even deeper down. Down the odds. So yeah, I want to forget that one. We're not, by the way, we're not actually getting rid of these picks, right?
No.
We have to keep them. We're just naming our regrets.
No, you can double down on one that you like, but you can't do anything about the ones that you don't
Yeah, no,
like.
that one stays. That one
That was
stays
your
with me.
pick.
So Wemby is the one I wish I had I could get rid of. It's at this point totally out of the running. What about you? What's your regret?
My regret is so coach of the year. So I had Missoula for coach of the year, and I really took it because
Yeah,
it's plus 1100. Kenny Atkinson is looking like the clear coach of the
yeah,
year, and that's because of just like the pieces that we have compared to the pieces that they have. Like, I think even if we had a better year or mirror at least the year that we had last year, it's just going to be attributed to the talent that we have on the team, and it's just going to be less about Missoula ball. I just think that's the way it goes. A lot of these awards are media awards, and starting out the gate 15-0, and right now they're what 18-3. I just think that like the narrative surrounding Kenny Atkinson with the Cavs is just in his favor.
yeah.
Now this isn't something that I hate because I'm looking at all my futures and I like all of them. I think
No,
I picked, well, not all of them, but I like most of them a lot. So
can you just, Lukey? Can you just run through your 5 win totals for us?
yeah. So I have Kings over 46.5. I have the Mavs under 49.5. Feel pretty good about that. I have the Spurs over 36.5. That one,
That's
that one's
tough.
shaky. And then the next one I'm going to say is the thing that I'm going to double down on. I have the
Okay.
Sixers
Yeah,
under
double
50
down.
and a half wins. Yeah,
Obviously.
obviously. I mean, so
Oh boy, that's a shoe in.
listen to, so I'm feeling good about it, obviously. 50 and a half wins. I'm doubling down for sure. My bet on that. They're currently 4-14, which
Yeah.
would mean they would need to go 47-17 the rest of the way in order to reach 51 wins. And that would mean they would have to win 73% of their remaining games. So
It's not going to happen.
that's not going to happen. So I'm feeling really good about that one. I definitely will be doubling down on that.
That's a good one to double down on. I was jealous of that one when I re-listened to the pod. I was like, yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's the only one that stuck out to me as like, wow, that's sailing under. Mine were much. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just frankly, I don't feel good about any of mine. Honestly, there's a couple. There's a couple. I'm gonna read mine too. We both had Celtics under 58.5,
Yep.
so I'm gonna leave that out of the running. I had Hawks under 36.5, Nuggets under 50.5, Grizzlies over 47.5, and Suns over 47.5. The one I want to double, the only two really are the Nuggets and Grizzlies. I think I'm going to double down on the Grizzlies over
Wow. I thought you were
47
going to
and a
say
half.
Suns.
No, no. I mean, the Suns are what? They've won 11, I think, just above 500. Grizzlies right now are they won 14 games? They're on pace to win
Yeah.
over 50. And like I said, I don't feel great about any of these. I think we're going to be sweating them out at the end of the season, but it was that or Nuggets because the Nuggets at this point have won 10 games. They're on pace to win, in the low 40s and that total of 50 and a half. Probably should double down on that now that I'm talking about it and saying it, but I've chosen the Grizzlies. I
You've
feel good
chosen the
about both of those.
Grizzlies.
I hope both of those. So I'm doubling down on my pick of the Grizzlies over 47 and a half.
I like that. I
And we'll
like
check
that.
in on these again because we bet
Yeah.
500 of our $1,000 on these futures.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good about my Sixers under future.
Yeah.
Well, okay, like I said, we are currently 20 games in for the Boston Celtics, and for a lot of people listening, usually 20 games into a season will kind of give you a general idea of what the team is like. A lot of people say that people overreact sometimes in the first couple of games, but after 20 games, you get a pretty good sample size, unless there's serious injuries on the team. So it's a good time to check in. So I figured we should check in with the Celtics and check in at this 20 game mark. And I figured we can play a little buy or sell. So basically, we'll give each other statements about the Celtics, and the other one will have to say whether they buy that statement or they're selling that statement. Get it out of here. It's got to be something different. So I figured we could do that. What do you think about that, Tim?
I love it. Sounds great.
So let's start where we were last night. Celtics last night lose a close one. They were shorthanded with Jaylen Brown out, and they also had Derek White out. And they lose to the Cavaliers 115-110. So that begs the question, buy or sell? The Cavs are the biggest threat league-wide to a Celtics repeat. You buying that or are you selling that?
League-wide. Okay.
League-wide,
Okay.
not just the East.
So interesting. The Cavs are the biggest threat to the Celtics league-wide. Man, sell on that opinion. Soft sell. This is a soft sell because they
Soft
very
sell.
well may be the biggest threat to the Celtics league wide. Let's start with the East. I mean, obviously the Cavs are certainly a threat to get the one seed. They seem right now certainly like the Celtics' biggest competition. Most power rankings have the Celtics and the Cavs 1 and 2 right now,
Right.
in some order, and I think that seems right. No, the Cavs have been amazing. They really have. They got out to a scorching hot start, a couple losses to Atlanta, brought them back down to earth, and a loss to us, and then a win against us last night. They're very good. What's there to say? This team is sort of where the Celtics were at last year, right? Like making their mark on the league. The offense has been really good. Kenny Atkinson, you mentioned him earlier. He's coached that team up a lot. And yeah, but I do think this. If you're talking about the Cavs as certainly they're a threat to get the one seed, but the Cavs as a threat to hinder the Celtics title chances, I'm not so sure. We match up really well against them. That is worth mentioning. And yeah,
Definitely.
obviously we played them last postseason. They weren't healthy, so that's not a great test of how we would match up this postseason. But we have the personnel to defend their guards, Mitchell and Garland. Right? There's probably no team in the league that has better personnel to defend those guards and other wings
Hmm.
and shooters that the Cavs have than the Celtics. Talking about Derek White, Jalen. I'm talking about all these guys that can defend and switch multiple positions. We also have the size to sort of hang with their double big lineup, right? That's another asset, the Mobley and Allen lineup that the Cavs play. And it's worked out really well this postseason. This season. Mobley's been great. But yeah, we have size too. If Porzingis is healthy, and we've got a lot of guys we can sort of we can use to match up with those two. I don't know. I mean, like the Cavs are really good. They have had the easiest strength of schedule in the
Yep.
whole league.
Yep.
So that bear, I think again they're certainly legitimately good team. I'm not saying that their schedule has made them seem better than they are necessarily, but I don't know. I kind of worry about, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but there's other teams in the East I almost would want to see less in the playoffs than the Cavs.
Who would you
And
want to
one of
see
them is the
less
Bucks.
today?
The
The
Bucks
Bucks?
maybe,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's again. This team has really turned it around. They've won that 7 of their last 8, I think. Giannis is wild right now. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
playing amazingly, and he's averaging like 34, 10, and 8 in that stretch. And
Yep.
Lillard's been good too. I do think that the early struggles put the stink on that team in some ways, but yeah, I mean they're climbing the standings, and I expect them to finish near the top as well when all's said and done. Um, Around where the Cavs, Celtics, and maybe even the Magic are. That's another team that I think is
Yep.
scary. They've been
And
playing
they
really
match
well
up
without
well
Paolo.
against us. The Mavs do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying either the Bucks or the Magic or whatever are a better team than the Cavs. It's just like when we think of the playoffs, I almost view them all equally, like
Yeah.
in the same bunch. And then out west, the West is looking very much like a question mark right now to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yep.
really know who the best team is. The Thunder probably is the default answer to that, but they lost Chet. You've got
Hmm.
Hartenstein back, which is going to make a big difference. But
But
other
not
than
a big
that,
scoring difference.
yeah,
The
no,
OKC Thunder has their best defense, but they do have an issue with scoring, and that can become a problem with young players too.
yeah. Yeah, no team in the West has really emerged as like a terrifying juggernaut like so
Hmm.
far. I mean, I think the second seed right now is the Rockets, and that's awesome for the Rockets. That's another person who could win Coach of the Year, Ime.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, again, those teams that are going to be there, the Nuggets, the Mavs, all those types of teams, those teams are still scary too. But that's why I said soft sell because I'm not ready to say like the Cavs are the team to beat, the team for the
Right.
Celtics to beat in the entire NBA. But they're one of the teams. They've been really good.
Yeah.
We can talk about the game last night if you want. I don't know.
No, I don't think we need to. I think that I don't take too much stock in it with all the injuries. And look, the Cavs were injured when we faced them the first time. They didn't
Yeah,
have Karis
yeah.
LeVert and some of these other guys. I'm also
Or
a
Allen, I
soft
think,
sell.
right? No, Allen.
Yeah, no, no, they
I
had
forget.
they had Allen in that game.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm a soft sell with this as well. But I'm glad you mentioned the Bucks because that's who I would put in that place. Because, like you said, I think that the West is the deeper conference, but they're not necessarily the better conference. Meaning, like the top talent, I think, kind of goes to the East. I would take the Celtics over most people in the West. I would take the Cavs right now out of a lot of people in the West. And like you said, Timberwolves don't quite look right. Anthony Edwards just doesn't look like the same player. Not quite gelling with Randall. You mentioned the Thunder. Nuggets can't shoot. Luka's having a little bit of a regressive year, and his defense looks even worse. The Warriors, like,
There's just a
can
lot
they?
of parity out
Yeah,
west.
a lot of
A lot of
parity.
the teams are sort of blending in with their records right now, and we'll see. I'm sure one or two of those teams you just mentioned is gonna sort of distinguish themselves, but so far not so much.
Yeah, a little fun fact. Currently, the West versus East head to head, 20 games into the season, is at 52.8%. So they're winning 52.8% so of those matchups. So almost 500, a little bit above 500. But little fun fact, last year, the overall record West versus East was exactly 52.8%. So we're at the
Hmm.
exact same record that the entire season West versus East was 20 games in. I don't know what that says,
Interesting.
if that says anything, but it's something. All right, what do you have for me, Timmy? What's a statement that I should be buying or should be selling?
Okay, let's take it right into your wheelhouse, Luke. You're the resident expert on this. Um,
I think I know where this is going.
Jason Tatum will finish top two in
Ooh,
MVP. Not saying he will win the MVP, but he will be one of the two there at the end of that race this season.
oh man, top two. Buy, 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 buy. All right.
Bye
Look,
bye
top
bye.
two is different than winning. If he's going to win it, I would probably have to sell it just because Nikola Jokic, I talked about him in the last pod, is just, I mean, he's just the best, maybe one of the best players we've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he's single handedly driving this Nuggets bus, and he's just doing it with historical numbers. But look, I go over this basically every single episode, but he has separated himself as kind of the clear leader on the Celtics. I know he was that as for Celtics fans for a long time, but this is a media driven award. And it seems like now in the media, he's getting a lot more of that attention. And especially coming off the narrative, right? MVPs are all about narrative, the Steve Kerr narrative, the Olympics narrative. Like the media has something to talk about, like, oh, Tatum's out for revenge. He's playing so much better. He changed his jump shot. There's no hitch. He looks better in these ways. So I just think that, the narrative behind him is stronger for him to actually remain in that two spot. But also, look, he has 11 games with over 30 points. That leads the NBA. That's over half of the games he
Hmm.
scores 30 points. He has 5 games with 25 or more points and 10 or more rebounds. That's 25% of his games. He leads this team, this great Celtics team. And this is to me the biggest thing in points, rebounds, assists, and steals in both the averages and the totals on the Celtics, averaging 29, 8.5, 6, and 1.4 steals a game. He's having career highs in PER, player efficiency rating, win shares per 48 minutes, and true shooting. All of those are career highs for him while dropping his usage rate from the past 3 years. So he's playing team ball. Like he's just
Mhm.
finding a way to do more with less opportunities and get everybody else involved. He's career high in assists, rebounding, and a little bit low on the points and availability. Like in a league where all the stars are out night to night and players are not playing back to backs, this dude is available. He's available
Mhm.
every night. And, all of the stuff that I just said about his stats and how often he shows up and how often he has big games, he's doing it on such a good team, which if he was doing this on the Wizards, like if you lead the Wizards in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, it's not that big of a deal. But whenever people were like, well, he's on such a good team, so he won't win the MVP, I think that should be the opposite of why he would be winning the MVP. Because if you're on a team with so many guys who do so many things well, and you're the guy who does all of those things better than all of those guys, that's more impressive than anything else. So, all that said, I think he'll be number
Yeah.
two unless the Nuggets lose a bunch of games or Jokic play dips significantly. But I'm at least buying heavy buy that he'll be top two in MVP voting.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I'm going to sell it
Selling it. All
only
right.
because, not because of Tatum's performance this year at all, because everything you just mentioned is true. And I mean, I think it's indisputable that he's having his best year so far.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like he is, as you said, he has asserted himself in this early season as clearly the best Celtic and the leader on this Celtics team. And yeah, just things that we had question marks about, like the shot and all that stuff. He just looks so confident, and he's going to the rim more confidently, and
Mm-hmm.
kicking, and everything runs through him. Everything the Celtics do well, the ball, like all the things, all the opportunities that the Celtics are able to create, run through Tatum, and it's contagious. I think the whole team sort of plays that way, and But yet, if I really look at the league and how we see things shaping out in terms of the MVP race, I think you correctly pointed out that Jokic is, I think he's plus 180 right now. He's the favorite.
Yeah.
He's gonna be hard to unseat. I mean, he just keeps having better and better statistical seasons.
Yep.
Every year it seems like. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, like that team, they're just over 500 right now. They're struggling, or they're sort of what we predicted they'd be. They just don't have the personnel beyond Jokic to really,
Right.
be at the top of the West. But it doesn't matter. He's so good. But then beyond him, I think it's gonna where Tatum falls here is going to depend on two guys. It's Giannis and Shea.
Yes. Yeah.
What's going to happen to their seasons? Because I could see scenarios in which both of those guys, or one or the other, finish second to Jokic. Because Giannis, there's a real path for him. Like I mentioned the numbers earlier, and they are just from a scoring perspective and a rebounding perspective. I mean, he is just a juggernaut right now. If he continues along those lines and the Bucks continue to rise and they're sort of surprised, that's you talk about narratives. That's a narrative.
Well, I don't know if you
And
remember, but my future MVP pick was Giannis.
yes, it was.
So I'm feeling very good about that
back
future.
at that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good pick. And then mine was Shea. So again, I think he's currently second in terms of the odds. Uh, like I said when I picked it in that podcast, that's going to depend on Thunder wins.
Yeah.
They're at the top of the West now. Do they rip off a huge win streak and whatever? Do they have the league's best record? I think that could put him in that one or two spot for MVP. So there just seem to be more scenarios where I could see someone leapfrogging Tatum, because the league, I mean, you're right that this is a moment where I think people are recognizing that he's taken this step forward as a leader.
Yeah.
But also we do tend to take Jason Tatum for granted because he's
Always.
he's sort of Mr. Reliable and Mr. Steady. And so again, this sell has nothing to do with his performance and more to do with other players that I could just see leapfrogging him in that order. But kudos to Tatum. He has been really fun to watch, really fantastic. It would have been cool if he had made one of those driving layups last night and we could have beat the Cavs. But
that would have been
and he's had some clutch moments where we've criticized him, or at least I have on this show, for not being clutch. So he's had some big moments.
No, he's had big moments and big shots, and he was generally clutch in that game down the stretch. He had two big buckets, but we don't have to talk about the Cavs game. That was Donovan Mitchell. That was just a beautiful shot making performance. Just he hit three big shots, 2 threes, and a driving floater that just buried the Celtics. And then we were just down with White and Porzingis. Can't take too much stock in that game, but I agree. If Tatum did make that driving layup or maybe got an and one on that, because I think it was a foul, and we win that game, and he has the performance that he has, that's a huge MVP statement. But you lose some of those games.
That's a moment, yeah.
That would have been a moment on the road, and that was for the number 1 seed. We were a half game behind, so it's a big one. All right, moving on. Tim, buy or sell? The great Derek White will be an all-star. You buying that? You selling that? What are you thinking?
Your cousin from Boston.
From Boston.
That is that great. Dude, I love me some Derek White. All right. Is he going to be an all-star?
Because last year there was a lot of buzz. You're buying?
I'm going to buy it.
Buy.
Here's why. Okay. Derek White is obviously playing the best basketball of his career. I mean, this season so far, so he's averaging 18 points, just over 4.7 rebounds, 4.4 assists. Mm-hmm. But it's like, the efficiency, first of all, is wild right now. Like from three, what is he, like 41? He's north of 41%.
Incredible.
From three on this season. On high volume for him. He's taking more than 5 a game. 64% true shooting. He's got by far his highest usage rate since coming to Boston. Defensively, he's a big part of what makes the Celtics tick. Mm-hmm. Best shot blocking guard in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Every night he seems to have one of those track down, just bang off the glass. We love him. He's got his own beer. Can a man have his own beer and not be an all-star?
I don't
Mike
think so.
Conley have his own beer?
Definitely not.
I think definitely not. I mean, what would it be even, But here's the thing, like, obviously it's a hard sell to get Derek White into an all-star game, because it means 3 Celtics, right? And again, I keep talking about record, but like if we are a few games behind the Cavs and it doesn't look like we're going to be a one seed and it looks like we're cruising for like high 50s instead of low 60s because that's where the line for this team is
Yeah.
incredibly high, then probably he won't be.
Right.
If we rip off like a huge dominant streak and it times out with the All-Star game, like it'll have to be that scenario where
Yep.
it coincides with a Celtics win streak, and like kind of like last year when it was there was a lot of buzz. Everything about Derek White is better this year than it was at that time last year. That he was
Yes.
getting that sort of consideration for in which he didn't ultimately make the All Star team. So in every conceivable statistical and eye test way, he's better. And also this is Derek, but like it goes back to Missoula. Like Missoula has just emboldened him and some others like Pritchard on this team to just like you know shoot and make
Yep.
plays. And we looked at what I say. He's got like 4.4 assists this year, but it seems like more of that when you watch him because he's a lot of hockey assists. He's just like constantly moving the ball around, spraying it out. It's just like when you don't have him like last night, you do miss him,
Yeah.
especially in late game execution. Like so, yeah, Derek White. And then if you look at some of the guards in the East, uh, you got Brunson, Lillard, Mitchell. Probably Garland also makes it. Trey has been having a really good season. I know the record isn't as good. And then you get down into this universe of people like Halliburton, et cetera. Um, and I think that White would have a case over some of those guys. Like
Well,
Tyrese Halliburton,
let me say this,
like
Tim,
it's just yeah, go for it.
real quick. Sell.
You sell it. Okay.
I sell it. But here's the reason. The reason I cut you off is because I want to talk about that thing that you were just saying. So I sell it, but it's not because it's like you selling the Tatum. It's not because of his
Yeah.
performance. As a
Yeah.
Celtics fan,
Yeah.
I know how incredibly important he is. He's the kind of guy that when we're not shooting well or we're getting down to a team, he hits 3 straight threes. Almost just you can depend on it every single game to get us out of that rut. But the reason I'm selling is because of the All-Star game. The All-Star game is different this year. It's not East and West.
Right.
The formation
Right.
is 24 total players will be selected, and it is East or West, separated into 3 teams with 8-man rosters. And the 4th team is the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge, which I think is pretty cool. So basically,
Okay.
you have 3 separate teams, 8-man teams. So that it's not 12 comes out of the East and 12 comes out of the West, and you got to look at the guards.
Yeah.
It's just 24 players. And I'm talking now we look at the guards open up to Fox and Luka and Curry
Right.
and of course Lillard from the East. Now you're opening up that scope. Even Anthony Edwards is a guard. It's like I think you're now looking at a much larger scope of guard. And even though Derek White probably deserves it if we were in the traditional East-West, I just don't think he's gonna make it because of the like anybody can be selected format.
Yeah, and it's just really, really hard to get 3 people into the All-Star game, like
Right.
regardless of who you are. Like the Cavs, I mean, you can make an argument for them having 3, honestly, like with Mobley. I mean, so it's you're right. I've forgotten about that switch up to the format of it. I mean, there are more guards specifically that would sort of maybe edge him out. So who knows? Probably not again. I mean, like he probably will miss it again, which is just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And he because again, I think what he has become in Boston is more than anyone could have imagined. Like
Way more.
when the team acquired him, I mean he is just the guy that in some ways is the glue of this team. But yeah, I mean with that format, I got to do the math. I got to run the numbers. I gotta I can't. But I still think it's possible. It's possible.
It's definitely possible. I mean, and again, all of these awards, all of them are about popularity and media attention, right? Because you have a lot of people voting. It's not if it was just Boston people voting or just very knowledgeable NBA fans voting, he'd probably get in. But there's going to be a lot of people who it's all fan voting, and there's just going to be a lot of people who just don't know Derek White because he's not.
They don't know.
They should know Derek White, but they just don't. Okay, so
he's a legend, that's for sure, a local legend.
Exactly. He's a local legend, and he's just, I mean, he's the sweetest. And to just be a little side tangent about Derek White, something that you really need in a team like this is you have Jaylen Brown, and he gets along well with Porzingis, and vibes are good there. You need friends on teams. And last year they traded Jacoby Brissett, who was Tatum's friend on the team, and Derek White and Tatum are like best friends. And so you got good vibes with Derek White too. So he brings the
He
vibes.
is the vibiest Celtic for sure.
Absolutely.
Although, yeah,
Cornette,
Cornette, I was going to say, is pretty hard to beat in terms of vibes. The running man,
the running and the Cornette
pretty
contest.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we've got a few funny guys on the team.
we
I
do.
think Porzingis seems like he's funny as well.
We do. And I think it's good. And my favorite Celtic, of course, is Drew Peterson, who got 48 minutes last night and was our number one go-to option.
I'm hoping one of these questions is about Drew P.
It better.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the next question, okay?
Okay.
All right, so my question to you is, or my statement that you can agree or disagree with, is the Celtics shoot too many three-pointers.
Oh God, Gary Washburn.
Can I clarify this a little?
Yeah.
Clearly, we shoot exactly the right amount because we win a lot of games. But I mean, like from an aesthetic perspective.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in terms of the product that we're watching, that the three-pointers are somehow detracting from that product. What do you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna sell this. Okay, because if the question is the Celtics shooting as many threes as they shoot is a bad product, then it's a sell. Okay, like you said, we just want to chip. So obviously we don't shoot too many threes because we shoot just the right amount, like you said. But the way that we generate them is beautiful. We get more open threes than any other team in the entire league. And when we are clicking and we have the ball movement, player movement, innovative play, it's just at an all-time high. And it is gorgeous basketball. Like, yes, the 86 Celtics were one of the best interior passing teams. And you look at that and you're like, well, look at this. This is beautiful basketball. They're getting all of these open dunks, open layups. But the Celtics are doing the same type of basketball, it's just stretched out and on a string. And when you watch them, if you don't watch the Celtics and you just look at the fact that they put up 53 pointers a game, and which is first in the league, second in the league is the Hornets, who put up 44. Yeah. So we put up 6 more 3-pointers than the second highest. And that'll tell you something.
Which is the same difference between like the Hornets and like the 10th highest.
Yes.
Like the drop off between us and everyone else is so insane.
It is absolutely incredible. So if you looked at that, you might be like, oh, this is boring basketball. They're just hucking up threes. Maybe they're going in because they have so much talent, which that's partly the case. Sometimes we do fall in love with a Derek White contested off the dribble 3, a Tatum contested off the dribble 3, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. The good news for the Celtics is all 4 of those guys make them at a high clip. So it's not a bad shot for us. But I do think overall, I'm selling it because it's a good product when the Celtics do it, because it's kind of like the Warriors back in the day, or like those Rockets teams back in the day a little bit. Even though the 2018-2019 Rockets shot a total of 3,723 threes, the Celtics are currently on pace to shoot 4,157, which is over 400 more 3-pointers than that Rockets team that was shamed, and of course lost to the Warriors because that team would just, I think Harden went like 1 for like 14 from 3 or something in that game 7. So it did end up ultimately losing them a series and a potential for a championship. But here's the thing, like, is it a bad idea or product for like Shaun White to do a backflip off of a cabin roof into like an avalanche as the avalanche is happening? No, it's the best product.
Probably.
No, that's the best product. That's the best product there can be. But when like 17-year-old me sees it and then tries it at Sunday River, it's a terrible product. So when the Celtics are shooting that many threes, we're Shaun White in this situation. It's the best product. We're the best product in the NBA. But when like the Hornets are like, well, let's try that, and they shoot 40, they shoot the second most, it's not a good product. So yeah, it's definitely a sell for the Celtics for me, but it's also it's a buy if we're talking about the league's trending towards the 3-point.
Yeah, I have the same read on it. Like, it is a bit much. I mean, when you read those numbers, those raw numbers out, it's wild. And like the Celtics are not middle of the pack here. Like you pointed out, we are setting this trend and head and shoulders above even the next most volume team. Yeah. This happens. This tends to happen when the team wins. There's some copy. It's like a copycat league in a lot of ways. Like it's always been this way. You mentioned the Rockets never won, but the Warriors and various teams have created like shifts in the way that that the league plays, and like Missoula ball, if we want to call it that, is sort of one of them. Mm-hmm. But like you pointed out, it is it's kind of absurd because I mean we watch every Celtics game, and we have in the past gotten annoyed with falling in love with the three, and like certainly that was one of the Tommy Heinsohn, signature bugaboos. Like, I gotta fall in love with the three. You like that
Yeah.
impression? Is perfect. Let's move past it. But yeah, he would correctly point out when teams would fall in love, and even this Celtics team, like Tatum in the past and stuff, people have fallen in love with the three. But it seems like this season, especially, and this was true last season too, I guess. But like we're just like you said, generating the right read, like every play,
Mm-hmm.
and that is going to result in lots of driving kick offense. Like we had it last night with the Cavs where that Tatum driving kick to Horford in the corner, and he's wide open because people overhelp on Tatum,
Yep.
and Tatum is a smart player who can make that read. So is that the wrong read? No, it's the perfect read. It results in a wide open corner three, which is the easiest three to make on the court. And
Yep.
he missed it. And if he had made it, which is a very high percentage shot, we probably would have won the game. So
Yeah.
I love when the Celtics are playing in the rhythm of their offense. Like the ball's whipping around, and so a lot of times that will result in a three. It's a wide open three. Sometimes it's Hauser, sometimes it's Pritchard, sometimes it's White. It can be really anybody. That's what
Mm-hmm.
this team is designed to do. So I thought you correctly pointed out, like if you look at, we're seventh in makes,
Right.
or, in percentage. I mean, so it's not like this team is just uniquely suited to, like we're not like scorching hot right now.
Right.
It's just that we make these reads and it results in like this extreme volume of threes. And Missoula has told pretty much everyone on the roster to shoot, and that's why Peterson was in. Or sorry, Jordan Peterson. That's funny. That's why Drew Peterson was in last night because he's
Yeah.
another guy, and actually I thought he was pretty good defensively too.
He
Who
was.
can defend and also is willing to take and hit those open threes, and he made a couple. And so I don't know. It's all about winning on the margins, creating advantages. But I think it's a pretty product. Where it gets ugly is when it's one on one, like that Harden team that you talked about. A lot of that was sort of like Harden step backs, which are really cool until you watch 100 of them and you're like, okay, let's maybe do something else. But in this team, it really feels like an organism, like moving the ball, and it like results in these good shots that are going in enough of the time to make us win most of our games. I don't know. Like, so I enjoy watching it. But for the league, it is a bit much. I do wonder if any of these, you hear about some of these proposals to take away corner threes or to move the line back or to create a
Right.
four-pointer. I find them a little intriguing. So we'll see if this
Yeah.
gets out of hand, because I do get from the general viewer perspective that it's a bit monotonous, and teams are playing this way pretty much across the NBA. There are very few teams who play in a different style or haven't fallen in line with this. But yeah, I mean, like, because I imagine you said Hornets are the second most. I imagine if you're a Charlotte fan, you kind of hate it.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
just
I'm
like,
sure.
man, this is
And they
annoying.
take the most off the dribble threes too. So again, like those are off the
Yeah.
dribble. Obviously, if you make a great move, you could be open, but they're typically the worst shot in basketball is an off the dribble three.
But
Yeah, I mean,
also, sorry, one more thing about it. Like
yeah.
shooting the three ball as willingly as the Celtics do also opens up great drives.
So that's what I
And
was going to say.
I was looking too at our paint numbers, and it's like the Celtics are very low in attempts in the paint, but very high in percentage,
Mm-hmm.
which again tells you like most of the time we are getting like really quality looks in the paint because of.
Yep.
So it's like one thing feeds another. People overhelp into the paint, as we get open threes. People overhelp on the three, we get
Well, that's
the
also
paint opens up. So
how we generate those threes is all drive, kick, rotate, drive, kick. It's usually, I mean, unless it's wide open, a single drive and a kick, but it's usually drive, weak side kick, around the horn, catch, drive again, and then like a corner kick or something. So it's
yeah.
based off of drive. So we constantly impose the threat, an interior threat to the defense. So you have them kind of on their heels back and forth.
And then you have personnel who can sort of do both of those things well.
Yep.
Like even Pritchard, who obviously if you don't watch a ton of Celtics, you consider, oh yeah, he's just a shooter. But it's like, yeah, no, watch him. He drives too, and he makes plays. And talk about interior passing, he can find guys too. So it does not feel to me monotonous, because I think winning is makes it seem like a more pleasurable product, because
Yeah.
it's resulting in makes and it's resulting in wins. But we're tracking it.
We're tracking it because like I said, we do have four guys who do like to do that in Tatum, White, Brown, and Porzingis. And although Porzingis makes those 30 footers that seem crazy by the logo, and he does that little like weird push shot and it goes in.
It's wild.
But those are the kind of shots where when he's cold or the team is cold and it's the third round of the playoffs, those are the kind, like if we fall into those habits too quickly, because very rarely does Kristaps get a 3-pointer off of like a great rotation. It's usually just he catches it and just shoots it. And because he's so tall and can make it, it goes in. So we do have
it's true.
4 players.
But I love those too.
I love it. And we all love him. And Derek White does it. The amount of times I go to Derek White, whenever he shoots, I'm like, oh, it's a bad shot. Oh, nice. It went in. Oh, it's a bad shot. Oh, that went in. Oh, it's a bad shot. So,
well, but I want to say on Derek, because we've talked about this privately too. It's like, he's the guy, I think, especially that you will, and now Pritchard, I would put in this category, but you will take some of those from a player like that, because it's all about the mentality that he has, that Derek White has to shoot. And like Pritchard too, who we haven't really talked about, but is like one of the big stories of the Celtics season. Like and it's coaching. It's like this rule that like you have the green light at all times, even though you might consider yourself 6th or 7th down the depth chart or whatever it is, you can shoot. And that's how someone like Derek White went from, a guy who could get 4 points on a given night or maybe 15. Well, that's a good Derek White night too. Yeah. Yep. Derek White got 30. That's what we expect. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I think you take that subtle annoyance with the bad shot making because those players are so have been made so much better by their willingness to shoot in general.
Yeah, and the only thing I say I'm keeping an eye on is because, like you said, it is definitely Joe Mazzulla giving the confidence to these guys, but it is currently, I mean, you tell me, we'll do a little mini game inside this game. You tell me green light or red light, I'll name a player and taking those shots. Jason Tatum.
I mean, green light. Everyone is green light.
Jaylen Brown. Yeah. Everybody. Jaylen Brown, green
maybe
light.
Drew Holiday at this point.
Drew Holiday. Maybe we'll talk about him in this next one. Anyway, moving on from the threes, and maybe we'll still talk about threes. Last statement of buy or sell. I'm going to give this to you, Timmy. Okay, buy or sell. At the 20-game mark, your Boston Celtics are a better team than they were last year at this time. So just at a 20-point check-in, are the Boston Celtics, to you, a better team this year than they were last year?
Buy,
baby.
Buy.
I love it.
100%. I mean, yeah, they are. They're the same team. Mm-hmm. And really that's, so I think the lack of roster movement, and so you could say, well, there's really no change. We won a championship. And so this team is the same as they were. But there's a couple of big differences, right? Like the biggest difference is Peyton Pritchard, which again, like that is not a small difference. This team, the Celtics team, this version of the Celtics for the past few seasons has not really had that microwave guard off the bench, which, I mean,
Hauser was Pritchard, kind of it, but not,
Yeah, well, Hauser has struggled a little, and I expect his shot to start falling more consistently as the season goes on. But, Hauser was more of the, I'm blanking, but what's the guy from Miami a couple seasons ago?
Duncan Robinson?
White shirt, yeah, Duncan Robinson type, where it's just like sharpshooter, like coming off the bench, hitting a three, whatever. He does other things too. He's the rest of his game's underrated, especially defensively. But like Pritchard has like this all around game, and he's become a guy, who gives you 20 on any given night. And I mean, again, it's just to have another person come off the bench and play within the Mazzulla system has given us like another new dimension, I think. And that might be putting Pritchard on too high of a pedestal. But again, the thing that is backbreaking about the Celtics, I think, is just like how deep the team is. And you're going, oh, right, Derek White. Oh, right, Drew Holiday just made 4 in a row. Oh, God, Peyton Pritchard just lit us up for 25. Like, it just feels relentless with the amount of guys who can not only hit shots, but like with Pritchard, really, if you watch the Celtics, he does a lot. I mean, he creates a lot of good offense. His offensive rebounding is really fun to watch. Those little moments where he sneaks under the hoop. So again, I attribute a lot of that to Mazzulla too, is just to give someone who hasn't had consistent playing time always. Pritchard, obviously he was a part of the rotation last year, but it wasn't always consistent.
Right.
And to say, what is he averaging in terms of minutes? I mean,
it's definitely more than it was last year.
North of 25. I don't know what it is, but we can look that up. But and that's created a confidence. So I think that the big difference between this year and last year is the addition of Pritchard. knock on wood, we're healthy for right now. Porzingis is still working his way back into the lineup, but looks really good. The only negative you could really look at is the possibility of age becoming a bigger factor.
Yeah.
I
He
think with
averages, real quick, he averages 28 minutes a game.
yeah, which is
Right.
a really that's great,
Which
and
is
he's
up
made the most of those
from,
minutes. Yeah,
let me just look real quick at what last year he was at 22. So yeah, he's up
yeah,
6 minutes a game, which is huge in the NBA.
yeah. And so, yeah, and then on the other side of it, there would be the question of age, I guess, if you're looking at the pessimistic take, which is like, I guess, Horford and Holiday.
Yeah. Yep.
Have they entered different phases of their career? And personally, with Holiday, he hasn't had the best start to his season. Um, Holiday was like number one in percentage in 3 point in corner threes, like stuff like that. He hasn't been shooting the ball super well. His offense looks clunky. He's sort of the one guy who seems like he's playing out of the rhythm of the offense a lot. Like we don't run a lot of
He had a
offense
terrible
through the
game last
post.
night.
He had a really bad game last night, but he's had a few bad ones. He's only had one 20-point game all season. But
Yep.
again, that stuff I'm not panicking about. He started a little slow for the Celtics last season too, and you worry more about him, or you just want him to perform in the playoffs. And last season he certainly did that. So no, I think the Celtics are definitely better than they were last year. Let's go. We're repeating, baby.
I
I'm
agree,
saying it.
baby. I agree. I'm buying. I'm also buying. It's a bulk buy. We're grabbing some bulk buys here on this one because it's not only obviously you get after a year of winning a championship and you bring back the entire roster, but it's also all about Drew Peterson. No, I'm kidding. It's also like
Oh, yes.
it's all about Drew. It's also just about the Olympic snubs, and this team has more chemistry, but usually after winning a championship, they don't have a chip on their shoulder, right? There's not this like anger. This team has played with anger. Even a guy like Peyton Pritchard, like
Yeah.
last night's game, he's just emotionally invested, and everybody is. Tatum seems more emotionally invested. You have guys like Drew coming to Tatum and Brown's defense about some of the Olympic stuff, and it just feels like we have a reason, like we did not get our flowers appropriately and like in the right way last year with the injuries that people had to go through. That's all anybody ever talks about with this team is like, yeah, but they didn't play anybody. And so I think this team
It
still
is
has something
really
to prove.
funny. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
hilarious to me that like a team, the Celtics won 64 games and won the
Mm-hmm.
NBA championship, but they do have, whether it's manufactured or real, a sense of like the nobody believes in us team, which is again just really absurd.
You know who does
But
that
it
every
is
year?
true. Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs do that every single year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's locker room stuff. It's whiteboard
Yep.
stuff. It's like, and everyone has their own, most of the Celtics have their own little versions of that. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I do. I think in the chemistry, like you said, like year after year, when teams keep their cores together, and this is not just their core. I mean, they've really kept everybody. Um, the chemistry only grows and is strengthened. And I think, I mean, we can give like our overall impressions of the Celtics season so far, but um, I mean, I regret taking them under 58 and a
Yeah.
half. I
Yeah.
do. Like, I think we both took that. And it's like, they look more motivated than I thought. Tatum looks better than I thought he was going to. We haven't really mentioned Brown a ton. Brown has room to grow. His efficiency has been down across the board. He's playing great. He's playing especially great defense, but he's
Yep.
had
Yep.
explosive games. But his shot's gonna fall even more. And so with the Celtics, I think we've had a great start.
Yeah, it's been a fun start to a lot of close games that probably shouldn't be close, but
Yeah,
again, the
really close.
NBA
Yeah.
is just so talented. You have any given night, you play the Nets. I mean, Cam Thomas can go off on you. Like it's not this huge separation in any given night. So yeah, but it's been a fun season, and I agree. We just look tighter, and we look like we have it's the combination of like you said, nobody believes in us. We're the underdogs, and like nobody gave us our flowers, and nobody thinks we're real champions. But then also compared or like contract or like combined with this feeling of we just decimated the league last year. So we have this confidence in ourselves, but this feeling of disbelief from
Yeah.
others. So it's that's just a great mixture for winning basketball, winning sports across the board. Sweet. Those are good. I love those buys and sells. Checking in on the 20 game mark for the Celtics. All right, sweet. Good stuff. So let's do another bet because this is, after all, major wager. And I know you, again, want to run, you want to hide, you don't want to make a lot of bets because I'm better at making bets. I understand, Tim. You're scared of me. It's okay. But I figured Tuesday, today, the day that today is Monday, we're filming this, but Tuesday is when this is coming out, is the last game of the qualifying rounds for the NBA Cup, the second year that the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament around the NBA is happening. So this is the last day of qualifying, and there's a lot of moving parts. So I figured we can each place one bet on these Tuesday night slate of games and kind of the NBA Cup qualifying round. So I'll let you go first. What is your bet, Timmy? What are you putting money on?
Okay. I like Bucks Pistons. All right. We have Bucks minus 3.5.
Nice.
And then Magic Knicks. Magic 5.5 point dogs.
Dog.
Little bit confused by that line. Looked, and I'm not sure they have, besides Paolo, I'm not sure they have huge injuries there. So I like both of those lines, and I want to take them together. So Bucks 3.5 point favorites against the Pistons, Magic 5.5 point underdogs against the Knicks. Together as a parlay is plus 264.
Plus 264.
Now I got to figure out if I'm going to put $100 on that or just 50. But you know what? I'm going to put $100 on it because it's the first major wager back, and I want to get some action in the books here, and I want to atone, I guess, for what I'm seeing as my some of my bad futures. So
good call.
Plus 264 are the odds on that. Put $100 on it. That's 364.
I love it. I like that. That's a good one. I'm going to go straight up with mine.
Good.
And I'm going to go for teams to qualify. I'm going to just do one, and it is our Boston Celtics to qualify.
Oh, really?
Now, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now check this out. Plus 1,100 are the odds.
Mm.
I'm putting 150 to win 1,800.
Holy moly, Lukey.
To win 1,800. So here's why. Or not here's why. It's not even why. Here's what needs to happen. So you just said the two games that we need to go in our favor. That's the Magic and the Knicks and the Pistons and the Bucks. So currently as it stands right now, the Celtics cannot win Group C. For anybody who doesn't know, the Atlanta Hawks somehow, surprisingly, won Group C. They beat both the Cavs. They beat us in the first game or the second game. So now we have the chance at a wild card, and that would be our qualifier here. The Magic and Knicks are both 3-0, and then Bucks and Pistons are both 3-0. So whoever wins that game wins that group. So the Bucks play the Pistons. Whoever wins that game wins Group B. The Magic play the Knicks. Whoever wins that game wins Group A. Now,
the Magic and the Knicks and the Bucks and the Pistons are all 3-0?
They're all 3-0. They're all 3. I'm looking at it right now. They're all 3-0. Okay. So whoever wins. If the Pistons have been surprised, I'm telling you, the East is better than people give credit for. So 3-0 across the board. So whoever wins each one of those games respectively, they win their group. Now, the wild card goes down to point differential since there's no head-to-head across groups. Celtics are right now plus 23. That's pretty good. We played all of our games. That's what we're going to be. We don't play tonight, Tuesday night. The Magic are plus 60, and the Knicks are plus 15. So essentially, if the Magic win at all, then we don't have to worry about the Knicks. We would automatically be above them for the wild card.
Okay.
Now the Bucks and Pistons, so we need the Magic to win. That's step one. Or the Magic to lose by like 40. So their point differential goes way down. But that's not happening. And then as far as Bucks Pistons, their Bucks are plus 29, Pistons are plus 28. So we really would just need whoever loses that game to lose by 6 or more. And we're in. So Magic win, and either Bucks or Pistons to win by 6 or more.
And then we're in.
We're into the next stage. We qualify. And Lukey would win $1,800 if that happens too. So
that's pretty huge, Luke.
Pretty big.
I mean, you really went deep on that. I can't fathom or reckon with all the like the point differential stuff. I don't really like that, if I'm being honest. Like,
me neither.
It's not really part of basketball. But anyway, that is a good bet, I think, because I do think the Magic have a good chance of beating the Knicks. And yeah, so that's funny that I picked the two games that are actually. So if I win,
exactly,
I bet it probably helps you way more than it helps me.
So if you win your bet, I really win mine, and if you lose yours, I also lose. But whatever, that's a wash there. So really, you can't win.
I hope we both
Unless
lose. Obviously.
the only way you win is if the Bucks or Pistons win only by like 3-4 points. If they don't win by 6 or more.
Well, no, because the Bucks I have -3.5.
Oh,
So.
Never mind.
So even then,
Well, see, this is why. Again, Tim, I've said this a bunch. This is why I'm
no.
better.
What I need no. Here's what I need to have happen: the Bucks to win by more than 3.5, but the Magic to lose by less than 5.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because the Magic lose by 2.
Magic lose by 2, and then you're good. Then you're in. Or yeah. I got a lot of money coming my way. I'm feeling good about this one.
I got a lot of money coming.
I got a lot of real money coming my way. It's all real.
No way. Okay.
It's all real here on Major Wager.
Good bet.
All right. Well, sweet. I think we covered a lot. Like I said, good check-in on the Celtics. 20 games in. We're looking good. We're looking ready to try to go for that repeat. And yeah, I like these bets. I'm excited. And hopefully we won't have as many crazy weeks in between now and the next Major Wager.
We won't. It's about to get a lot less crazy.
Good. All right. Well, sweet, man. Good talking. Good episode.
As always, man. All right.
All right.
See you soon. Peace.